It's October, time for postseason baseball. And guess what?
We've seen a real twist and a really different look for the postseason.
The MLB middle class is alive and thriving. Meanwhile, Bloomberg gets wind of a secret TV deal that may help the rich get richer.
Why should the New York Yankees have to pay more than the LA Dodgers? Why did they get that sweetheart deal?
Plus, Cy Young contender R.A. Dickey answers the age-old question. If you were a financial product, what kind of financial product would you be?
I'm the government-backed, secure, low-yield, risk-free bond.
We've got information you just can't get anywhere else. Only on Sportfolio. Hello, I'm Rick Harrow, and welcome to Sportfolio, Bloomberg's weekly inside look at the business of sports. Baseball's team-by-team salary spread is the widest in all of U.S. professional sports, so playoff matchups often pit big spenders against plucky overachievers. But in 2012, the pay-performance correlation has been all over the map. Teams like the Red Sox and Phillies have done much less with much more. The A's and Rays have stayed in the hunt all season despite puny payrolls, and 4 of the 10 clubs in the newly expanded postseason mix line up between 16th and 20th in salary: the Braves, Reds, Orioles, and Nationals. That extremely informative breakdown was prepared for us by Vince Gennaro, president of the Society for American Baseball Research. They call it SABR. Hey, Vince, they say the American middle class is under siege, but baseball's middle market teams are competing very, very effectively. How are teams like the Reds and the Nationals doing it?
Well, you know, Rick, it's been an interesting season in Major League Baseball this year, and we're very used to it. We've become accustomed to the Yankees and the Red Sox, the high-revenue, high-payroll teams, rising to the top. And while the Yankees are still in it this year, we've seen a real twist and a really different look for the postseason. We're seeing teams like Washington and Cincinnati and Baltimore and Oakland, all teams that are, from a payroll standpoint, are in that third quartile, right, just below the median of MLB payrolls, really be successful. And one of the reasons why they've been able to do that is they've been able to harvest some young talent from their farm systems and have them be very productive at the major league level.
Let that be a lesson to you in baseball and in life. Money doesn't necessarily buy you happiness. But if these GMs were portfolio managers, you'd say they're pursuing a balanced strategy?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, to complement the young talent, and you look at a team like Washington, and you've got a 19-year-old in Bryce Harper, and then you've got a second baseman, shortstop, and third baseman that average 26 years old, and Danny Espinosa and Ian Desmond and Ryan Zimmerman, who form a core of that team. Even their pitching staff is young, and of course, we've got the young Steven Strasburg. But to complement that, a well-placed, often high-priced free agent like a Jason Worth for the Washington Nationals can be a real asset to the organization and just round out that team to make it a true playoff contender like the Nationals are.
True playoff contender, but that young star that will not play in the postseason, you mentioned Steven Strasburg, he gets shut down when he reaches 160 innings in early September. Hey, come on, Vince, does that kind of long-term thinking really have a place in baseball?
All right. You don't see it too often in companies who are reporting quarterly earnings, do you? But you do see it in this sport. And I think with the teams embracing analysis, including, by the way, the analysis of medical history and medical reports, you are seeing more discipline in this area of protecting these players and really viewing Steven Strasburg as an organizational asset. And the mindset that the Washington Nationals took into this season, and I have to give them credit for it, is to say, look, we've got this guy under control for a 6-year window before he's eligible for free agency. How do we maximize the value of that asset, Steven Strasburg, over the 6-year window? As an organization, they've got a philosophy that you ramp up your pitchers, your starting pitchers, by 30 innings per year and no more. So that meant that they had a plan coming into this year where Strasburg was to pitch 160 innings, case closed, and they weren't going to forfeit, or I should say, put him at higher risk and therefore their future asset at higher risk by having him run through into the postseason. So you got to give him credit for being disciplined. They did the same thing with Jordan Zimmerman a couple years ago. Of course, didn't get the flack they got for it this year because of the pennant chase, but you have to give him credit.
Well, the excitement of new teams in the playoffs is also matched with a different playoff format this year. It's more of an NFL model, as we know, with the one-game wild card round leading to the division series. How will this change the equation for postseason success in your estimation?
Well, in the past, when all 4 teams in each league, 8 teams in total, got to the postseason, you could almost say that it's really a 1 in 8 chance of reaching the World Championship and winning a World Series. And in fact, the data actually bears that out. Even wild cards, who represent 25% of playoff teams, won 5 out of 17 World Series in the wild card era, or 29%. But this year, it's a whole new ballgame. What you've got is you've got the wild card teams, in which there's an extra one, have to play each other in a 50-50 play-in game. So right there, you'll reduce the wild card's chances in half of even getting to the final 8. Furthermore, in that play-in game, which is going to occur this Friday, they're going to have to probably use their best pitcher, which means when they start up on Sunday against the #1 seed, they're going to be down to their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th pitchers against the 1, 2, and 3 of the best team in each league. So when you rack all of those possibilities up and the realities up, I think it's more realistic to say that from a 25% chance of winning a World Championship, it's really, for a wild card, probably a 10% chance of winning a World Series under the new format.
As to those play-in games, what do you predict? Will the managers pull out all the stops to advance?
Well, you know, you're absolutely right. For those one-game play-in games, they'll basically be like 7th games of the World Series for those teams, because the loser goes home and the winner advances. And one of the other interesting nuances is, because that game is its own, quote, playoff series, it has its own 25-man roster. So we're going to see clubs do all sorts of interesting things that we're not used to seeing, because they can set their roster for one day. So they might carry only 2 starting pitchers and 10 relievers. They might carry a 3rd catcher so they can pinch run or pinch hit for a catcher. You're going to see lefty-righty matchups go on forever, I'm afraid, and I think these games could take some time to finish. We wouldn't be shocking if we saw 3.5 or 4-hour games. But the reality is, because of the suspense involved and the stakes, I think it's going to be fun for everybody.
Vince Gennaro, thanks for sharing your research with us. Enjoy October. We know you will.
You bet.
Baseball's postseason awards won't be given out until November, but the race for National League Cy Young honors is already the subject of hot debate. R.A. Dickey could become the first knuckleballer to take home the hardware, even though he's the last active big leaguer throwing the pitch.
I'm it, you know, right now, and I don't want to be it, but that's just the way it is.
We'll hear from a pitcher who's truly one of a kind when Sportfolio returns. New York Mets pitcher R.A. Dickey had a magnificent season in 2012, and he's the odds-on favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award. And that's an amazing achievement for a 37-year-old knuckleballer who's been overcoming long odds his entire career. Dom Chu has more.
Tim Wakefield on the mound, baseball's oldest current player.
It's the rare athlete who grows up dreaming of becoming a knuckleball pitcher.
Swing and a miss, he struck him out.
It's a pitch that's kind of was born out of desperation for most of us.
But for a man living one of baseball's most gripping turnaround stories, the unpredictable pitch was a means of keeping big league dreams alive.
I turned to the knuckleball because I couldn't get it done as a conventional pitcher anymore.
R.A. Dickey is a prime contender for the Cy Young Award as the best pitcher in the National League. He's featured in a new documentary, Knuckleball. His stock is through the roof right now, but it took a long time to get there.
That was a good one. In 2006, I was thinking about hanging it up, and the knuckleball gave me a second chance.
Our audience, we look at stocks and bonds and currencies and all kinds of things. You know, Apple stock is just shooting higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And then you have yourself a 10-year government bond, which gets the job done, but does it in a maybe slower fashion.
Yeah.
What was your feeling like about making that transition? Was it really hard, or was it ego-driven? Was it ego dampening?
No, it was actually the opposite, and that's a great metaphor that you used about the Apple stock. So if Strasburg or a good fastball is the Apple stock, I completely am the opposite. Hopefully I'm the government-backed, secure, low-yield, risk-free bond.
For Dickey and his family, the knuckleball was a low-yield instrument for years. His first $1 million contract came in 2011, But to use a pitching term, that's helped him develop strong financial mechanics.
Having grown up making $650 a month in the minor leagues for just the months that I play, and being married, I had to really learn what it was like to live on a dime. I remember when I signed my first major league contract, which was the first major league deal I'd had in 14 years. I'd played on, small contracts throughout. The first thing I did was I went out, and my big splurge was to buy an Apple iPhone for my wife and I.
Knuckleball can pay dividends well into a pitcher's 40s. A Cy Young win for Dickey, coupled with his status as the game's only knuckleballer, could cement his brand and add to his earning power.
All of us in the fraternity of knuckleballers are very proud of him and what he's accomplished this year, and he's really making a statement that the pitch is a legitimate pitch, and to use his own words, it's authentic.
I'm it, right now, and I don't want to be it, but that's just the way it is. And because of that, I have a certain angle that nobody else has, and I embrace that.
We asked our colleagues at Bloomberg Sports to show us why Dickey deserves the Cy. The Mets can exercise a $5 million club option and bring Dickey back in 2013. But if they can't sign him to an extension, they may look to trade his rights to a club with deeper pockets. Up next, Bloomberg's Scott Soshnick joins us with details on a secret deal that may let the LA Dodgers pocket more than their fair share of local TV windfall. And our sportfolio stumper tests your knowledge of TV money. How much do you think the New York Yankees got for the first local TV rights contract in 1946? Answer when we come back. Here's the answer to the stumper. The Yankees sold their full season TV rights in 1946 for $75,000. That would be about $886,000 today. The LA Dodgers can start taking bids on their media rights on November 30th, and they should be able to command $886,000 a game, using the benchmark of $3 billion that Fox was willing to pay Frank McCourt for the package a year ago. I caught up with Stan Kasten at the Bloomberg Sports Business Summit and asked him about the impending negotiations.
The published number that baseball turned down for the Frank McCourt TV deal was $3 billion. Do we think this deal is going to be much more than $3 billion?
I have no idea. I do know that we consider ourselves a prestigious brand with a lot of great content for a 6-month period when there's nothing else to compete with on cable TV. So we think we're very valuable. We think there's a lot of interest, and by the end of the year, by December, we'll know.
But there's another wrinkle. According to reporting by Bloomberg News, the terms of Major League Baseball's settlement with McCourt included a cap on future broadcast income that would be subject to revenue sharing. And this may explain why the Dodgers' new owners bid so high for the team and why they've been so aggressive in adding salary. Scott Soshnick, one of the reporters who wrote the Bloomberg story, joins us on Sportfolio. Hey, Scott, explain the special terms that may create a windfall for the Dodgers.
Well, the most special term has to do with the revenue sharing number of the local broadcast rights. Every team that has an RSN has to say how much they're receiving in broadcast annual revenue. So let's say the Yankees, for instance, they have the Yes Network. They get about $85 million a year. Some teams will try to underreport that because, remember, the teams also own the network. So you're taking from one pocket to pay the other. It's an easy way to hide revenue. So baseball has a committee that decides whether there's a fair market number that you're getting. But the Dodgers number for the first 10 years of the contract is capped at $84.4 million. There's some 4% escalators in there annually. That's fine. But right now, if you look at what happened with the Angels, with the Padres, with the Rangers, 84.4 is under market today. Imagine what that's going to be in 10 years from now with the way sports rights fees are escalating.
So that secret deal, in essence, caps the revenue sharing from a Dodgers RSN at $84 million, as you said. That seems like an awfully low figure given the TV mega deals that have been signed recently. So put that in perspective.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about the Angels. They're averaging $95+ million. It's already below market. Now, people are saying, who don't quite understand the special terms, are saying, but if the Dodgers get more, if the rights fees are going up, well, then surely they'll get more. But there's the wrinkle of owning the RSN. If the Guggenheim folks and Magic Johnson also own the RSN, the Regional Sports Network, What is their motivation now? Since they know the number is 84.4, they have zero motivation to pay the Dodgers any more than that because the number is capped. They will pay on 84.4 plus the escalator for the next 10 years. I can guarantee you they will not pay 1 penny more than that contract mandates. So you're going to wonder what the Kansas City Royals are saying. Wait a minute, we should be receiving more. You can just hear Randy Levine on the phone right now with Bud Selig and the New York Yankees saying, why did they get that sweetheart deal? I want a cap number as well. Why should the New York Yankees have to pay more than the LA Dodgers? This creates a system of 29 plus 1 in baseball. You're going to hear a lot about this from the owners.
Speaking of the Dodgers, of course, they've taken on a ton of salary commitments in the last few months. Any chance another major league team contests the revenue-sharing deal and the Dodgers end up overextended as a result of that controversy?
They could result overextended. We'll have to see what the revenue is and how the network goes. Remember, they still don't have the network. They have to form one or sign a traditional rights fee agreement. My guess is going to be they go network because they have more options that way. You have to see what the carriage fees are. The Time Warner deal, you know, that's launching very soon. The Time Warner networks now that cover the Lakers, they're getting almost $4 a month. That is a very high number for an 82-game schedule. Baseball, 162 games. Whether it'll extrapolate into an exact double of rights fee, who knows? But either way, the other owners, whether small market, low revenue, big market, high revenue, they're going to want either more money or equal terms. There should not be different rules for different teams.
Scott Soshnick, as always, thanks for joining us on Sportfolio.
My pleasure, Rick. Thank you.
Speaking of L.A., last week the L.A. City Council approved AEG's Farmers Field proposal. What's next for the quest to bring the NFL back to Los Angeles? Tim Lewicki tells us straight ahead. Get Sportfolio wherever you go on the Bloomberg TV Plus app for iPad.
Even a bad golfer can get closer than you did. Watch this.
Absolutely. That's pretty good.
That guy I'm golfing with, Gil Hance, he's about to head to Rio and take on a very important project. Next week on the program, Gil Hance tells me how he landed the Plum contract to design and build the Olympic golf course for Rio 2016. Tune in at our new time, 9:30 p.m. Last Friday, the Los Angeles City Council voted unanimously to approve a proposal that could ultimately bring the NFL back to L.A. Council cleared the way for AEG to proceed with the $1.5 billion Farmers Field plan. The man who developed that plan joins us now via Skype from Los Angeles, CEO of AEG, Tim Lewicki. Hey, Tim, congratulations on the vote. Now what happens?
Well, we had to go find a team. Appreciate the applause and the people getting excited about the steps we just took. But we still have to go out and ultimately identify a team, enter into a lease with that team, and probably negotiate some sort of equity within the team. So we have work to do, but I will tell you that was the hard step. I think that was the piece that no one thought we'd ever get done is getting through an entitlement process, getting a political deal done with the city of Los Angeles, and getting the community focused and behind one vision and one idea for bringing the NFL back to LA.
So we're mixing metaphors in a chicken and egg situation. I guess the chicken's in the barn. Now we're working on the egg. You could have a commitment from a franchise to relocate by next March, and of course the stadium's scheduled for completion by 2017. Any chance that timetable speeds up at all?
You know, 2017 is the earliest we could do it now. We had to build a new West Hall before we could take down the old West Hall. And so when you combine the amount of time needed to go through the construction on the convention center and then add into that the roughly 2.5 years that we're going to need for the construction of Farmers Field, 2017 is ambitious. And in order to make that date, we had to have some team and an agreement done during the 2013 calendar.
How about one chicken and two eggs? You said on Friday you think you might actually be able to get 2 NFL teams. What's that thought?
Scrambled eggs.
Well put.
We are going to be prepared to have 2 teams. That's obviously following the lead of the commissioner and the owners in the NFL. We want to be in a situation where if ultimately two teams need a new home, certainly Los Angeles has had two teams in the past. Certainly we've seen a market like New York where there are two teams playing in the same facility and seen the success that the Giants and the Jets have had. And we think that that can also work here. But again, we're prepared for it. We've designed for it. We will build for it. And economically, even our farmers deal takes in consideration a second team. But that will be the decision of the NFL, and we'll follow their lead.
Well, but the economics have to work clearly. And your current thinking on equity, if an existing team wants to move to L.A., does it become a partner in the stadium? And does AEG need a piece of the team?
Well, I think it's in everyone's best interest if we're aligned. So they're interested in Farmers Field. The individual owner, because AEG can't own a piece of an NFL team, the individual owner's equity of the NFL team, I think that means everyone is on the same page. We're vested in each other's assets, and we don't have any issues as to where the revenue is going. I think that's in everyone's best interest. That's what we'd like to see happen. But again, we're just now getting into this process of discussions with teams, and time will tell exactly what that looks like. I don't think we could pull this off, nor do I think the NFL would be ecstatic if what we were looking at is just simply a agreement where they do a lease, they have no equity in the stadium, and we have no equity in the team. I don't think we're aligned then.
And everybody is looking for a scenario of mutually aligned partners with common interests. We all understand that. We all understand also that AEG is up for sale. It's public. But you just signed a 5-year contract to stay on and work for the new owners. That's a pretty good leap of faith, wouldn't you say?
Well, I think it's important not only to make sure that we have some sort of consistency here with our 25,000 employees, but it's important for the new owners to know that they're getting the management team, so the entire management team extended, and we're all committed for the next 5 years. It's important for the city of Los Angeles to know who they're dealing with. We're committed to making sure that we're pushing dirt and cutting a ribbon for Farmers Field during that period of time. So I can't stress how critical we thought it was that whether it be the new owner, whether it be the existing employees and partners in AEG, or whether it be the NFL and the city of Los Angeles, that consistency is a message we wanted to send. And clearly it's been a mission, not just for myself, but our management team, to bring the NFL back to LA, and I'd like to see that through.
Tim Lewicki, once again, congratulations and thanks. And by the way, good luck with the next steps for Farmers Field.
Rick, thank you very much.
That'll do it for this edition of Sportfolio. Our thanks to Vince Gennaro, R.A. Dickey, and Scott Soshnick for being with us this week. And thank you for watching. Visit Bloomberg.com anytime for more sports, news, interviews, and features from Sportfolio. I'm Rick Horrow. See you next time.